Greetings LEGO fans! I'm back for another build, and for this week's release we have the Resistance Y-Wing Fighter. This is kit number 75249 and has 578 pieces, so I'm assuming it will take me just barely over an hour to complete. But before we do any of that, as we always do, let's get to the unboxing so we can see what we have in there and get the build underway. I think the lack of popularity has to do with the fact that this one didn't get a whole lot of screen time. And in the games, while this one is very heavily armored and with an impressive arsenal, It's also very slow and not that maneuverable, so when it came to the X-Wing games, this was seldomly my ship of choice. As such, as far as I can tell, LEGO's only released 3 versions of this ship, this one being the smallest of the 3. But just because it's the smallest doesn't mean that I don't find it unappealing. It still has a good amount of detail, so let's have a closer look. Starting in the front, attached right to the nose of the ship, we've got a pair of laser cannons. Right behind that, we've got the cockpit. And mounted just behind that, on a rotating turret, we have the ion cannon. A weapon not found on the other small Rebel ships, but very important for disabling large vessels. And taking up the last of the space in the neck of the ship, we have our little spot for the astro-mech droid. Coming around to the back, we have the long engines that give this ship this distinctive look. And nestled just in between them, we can see the triggers for the 2 spring-mounted launchers. And right in the center, we have this little knob you can rotate to release the bombs stored within. And for the final feature, when you're not playing with it, the ship has a set of landing gear, so it doesn't have to rest on its belly on the ground. But when it is playtime, you don't have to keep them down, because they fold up nicely underneath. And that brings us to the minifigures, of which the set comes with 5. Poe Dameron, Zori Bliss, a First Order Stormtrooper, a generic astromech droid, and the tiny little droid, Dio. Now for the play versus display review. As a playset, this kit does pretty well. It fits in your hand pretty easily, it's fun to play around, the spring-loaded launchers are easy to access, and dropping those bombs is actually quite a bit of fun. And despite the engines being very long and looking flimsy, they actually hold up pretty well, so not so bad for play. As a display kit, clearly it's not as impressive as the UCS kit I reviewed last year, but what do you expect when it's about a quarter of the pieces? It still looks pretty great, and if you're collecting all the Rebel fighters, this one's a clear and obvious addition to your collection. When I think about displaying this one, I don't really think about putting front and center like the UCS kit, but I do definitely think about hanging it from the ceiling so I can set up some interesting battle situations. So I'd say that even this one is going to get some display time at my place. And that brings us to the end of another review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here next week for the next one. Until then, have a good one.